Hello, and welcome to a very special episode of the Performance Marketing Unlocked podcast. We're here on the ground at day 2 of Cannes Lions Festival of Creativity 2024. And joining me for this little Cannes mini-sode is Duncan Southgate, who oversees creative effectiveness at Kantar. Duncan, how are you?
I'm all right, Joe. Thank you very much for the kind intro. Thanks for coming.
Thanks very much for having us. We should say we're in Kantar's creative studio here. We're doing the recording. It's a very nice space. It's just nice to be out of the sun, if I'm honest with you. It's been
cool
scorching hot. Yeah, I've come in here from the UK with a head of steam, and it's absolutely stinking hot. So I'm Australian, though. I'm usually used to that. It shows I've maybe been in the UK a bit too long.
Yeah, no, well, I'm down from Frankfurt, so I'm a Brit, based in Frankfurt, but this is the hottest week of my year so far.
I certainly imagine it's not been scorching hot in Germany either.
So far, no.
Now, Duncan, you're a veteran of Cannes. We were saying you've been here 10 times roughly, somewhere.
Yeah, it's enough that I've lost track, but it's about that number over the last sort of 15, 16 years or so. But everyone's different. Everyone's fun. So having a good time so far.
That's great. Well, I guess let's talk about what's different about 2024 then. What are some of the hot topics that have been popping up across the first couple of days that have piqued your interest?
Well, it's interesting. I guess the things that are coming my way, the two hottest topics by far are AI and attention, which overlap a little bit, but they're both really big questions about how do I get more attention, how much attention do I need? So lots of questions around how to optimize my campaigns to get the right amount of attention. And then this idea of AI transforming creative effectiveness measurement is what the questions that are coming our way, but I think also obviously loads of questions about how's Gen AI going to transform creative production and also media optimization processes. So AI is everywhere, right?
Yeah, AI. I mean, AI, people often get confused with, it's been around a long, long time. It's been around for decades, but I suppose what's had a groundswell in the last 12 to 18 months is generative AI. And that's where a lot of people's interests lie. But across the palette, I've been having discussions about AI, as we say, but especially effective use of AI. And I think that's where some people are getting hamstrung a little bit, is we've got to incorporate generative AI into our processes somehow. And that's across agencies, brands, publishers, ad tech. But it's how do they integrate that? And what are the sort of use cases that are coming out of AI? And I think a lot of that sort of begins and ends with data.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I can tell you a little bit about how Kantar are getting involved in using AI and in the creative space, and that's obviously been on this same kind of journey as well, right? So we started nice and early. We had loads of massive training data sets from all our human-based ad testing over the last 25, 30 years. Because we had all that data, we were able to fuel AI machine learning models quite quickly and quite early to train these models in what are the kind of features that you can, once you've extracted from a video, that will predict creative effectiveness. So that was 5 years ago. I mean, it's been scaling steadily in the last 5 years. And I think that's at the point where people now trust that AI is good for some things. Some people are using it for creative hygiene testing. Some people are using it for creative compliance testing. We're more interested in getting a little bit further upstream towards creative effectiveness, AI-generated predictions of which ads are going to drive awareness, generate purchase intent, and ultimately sales. So that's where we're focusing. But the last 12, 18 months has been really quite, again, transformational. On top of that AI trajectory, you've now got the Gen AI upgrade, and then the things you can do with that. Obviously, now we're getting into creative shaping. So we're not just testing finished ads, we're predicting how well they'll work, but we're able to predict based on scripts, and you can then just quickly edit that script and get another prediction. So rather than just being kind of a one and done test, now you've got the ability to play with the insights at the point when you're editing your ideas. So I think creative shaping is the next step we're starting to see coming through in the questions that we're dealing with.
I know that term brand performance gets thrown around a lot, sort of merging brand with your performance, trying to find the right balance. And I think the bridge between data and creativity might be generative AI. It certainly seems like that's where the discussion's headed on the palette. I don't know if you agree.
Do you know what? I've talked about brand performance as a combo so many times. I've never heard brand performance. So I will be stealing that.
We can coin the term. Yeah,
like it. But certainly, I think the ability to get brand effectiveness data at scale so that it can be overlaid into systems and processes where people are used to only working with performance data is very real. And that's, again, AI or Gen AI, I think both are playing a role there, to be honest. But so, yeah, we have predictions of particular long-term equity outcomes based on all kinds of digital and TV ads as well. But it's really the digital space where the asset scale is expanding dramatically, right? So you don't just have 2 or 3 ads anymore, you have 50 in a campaign. And the ability to get brand predictions at an asset level to fuel optimization engines that have in the past only operated on the very, very rich performance data is I guess, the brand performance upgrade, right?
Very much so. It's sort of, I guess, from my perspective here, what I've been seeing is performance is becoming more and more full funnel, I guess, and it's just moving up the funnel and starting to err on the side of creativity. But what about on your side? There's obviously all these use cases that have come out of this research and Kantar's data, but is there anyone you're seeing that you think's using Gen AI really, really well when it comes to actually actioning all of these insights and producing adverts and campaigns that you think are going to drive performance and brand building?
So I haven't had enough time to get out. You've probably been out more in the Palais seeing the practitioners in effect. So I'm seeing relatively few examples of people genuinely having like very strongly Gen AI led creative development processes. I'm seeing maybe that I've not got a full view of everything that's out there, but still relatively small applications of it. So yeah, I'm not convinced that it's happening at scale yet. I think there's still a lot of people playing rather than for one-off novelty campaigns more than using it in a systematic way for the development of lots of campaigns. I might be underestimating what's going on.
I really, really like where you've gone there, because I did put you on the spot with that one, and you haven't been out and about, but I have, sprinting up and down the Palais, and I have to agree where the chat about generative AI and the potential use cases is just abundant. It's everywhere. You can't avoid it. But actually seeing cases where it's been utilized and executed and driven results, certainly there are some examples, and we will be touching on those in other podcast episodes while here. But by and large, the use cases of AI that are happening now and producing results certainly don't match the sort of desire to get there and integrate it. There's a lot of people that want to play around, as you say, but actually using it at scale beyond just your sort of gimmick campaigns, it's not quite taken over yet. So what do you think, what's the advice you'd give to organizations and businesses about making AI actually work for them at scale as opposed to just being sort of something they hope to adopt in the future?
Yeah, I mean, it's easier for me to talk from an effectiveness and measurement point of view, right? So maybe I'll go there, because I'm sure there are creative production equivalents that other people talk about. But what I'm seeing is within our systems and processes, so it is already now, Gen AI is now baked into our core ad testing product. So when we do surveys, we have lots of data in our dashboards. But we're now using Gen AI to write automated headlines, which are now, very, very good. And that's introducing efficiencies into the reporting process, so our speed to insight is faster. We can deliver reports, smart reports for our clients in a more efficient way, so that our analysts are spending more time on thinking about the recommendations rather than writing up charts that say, the enjoyment of this ad is better than average. So getting the AI to do and maybe it's the lowest hanging fruit, but efficiency is not a bad place to start with Gen AI, because that builds everyone's confidence in the technology. You get used to, the machine got it right 99 times out of 100, but we need to train it because it's missing here. That's fueling confidence and competence in the Gen AI space, that when you get into more sophisticated things next year, like when you're starting to do, all right, now we can transform our insights research into creative shaping routines, people are kind of beyond the basics of, what can Gen AI do? Where's it weak? Where's it strong? So I think that's one way we're seeing it happen. And particularly one more example, text analytics is absolutely, LLMs are absolutely brilliant at that now. I mean, again, transformational steps forward in the last 18 months. So we, in a lot of our surveys, ask very open-ended questions about, describe the story of that ad to us, which were the most memorable moments. And we've always spent, an individual analyst have to spend time looking through 150 or 200 long-form verbatims to pull together a picture, and we could send it off to human coders who would spend a couple of days, writing up, 55% of people are mentioning this element of the ad. But now, Gen AI does that, extracts automated theme analysis from all that data in a matter of seconds. So again, it's now dashboard-ready theme analysis, and all of a sudden you're off to smarter, faster insight. So again, that's not maybe where the industry wants to get to in terms of, I want automated creative shaping, I want automated recommendations about how to modify my ad, and then don't just tell me how to do it, actually start doing it for me. That's obviously coming, but I don't think it's so bad that we're starting with efficiencies and improvements to relatively standard processes.
Are you seeing anything in terms of consumer sentiment about all of this in the surveys you're putting out there? Because across my coverage recently, there still seems to be a little bit of reticence among consumers when it comes to how brands and organizations adopt and use AI. I'm just wondering if there's any insights you might have seen in the surveys, in the data you've collected, that might translate in this sense.
We've so far been talking more to marketeers about how they plan to use it, and marketeers are definitely open to embracing
But
AI.
that's what every marketer is saying, is we can't wait to embrace it, but actually putting that into action's a whole different thing. And
there was a study that I just read last week. That I think it came out at the end of last year. Again, there's a big gap between, I think it's in the 30s of marketeers are using AI tools and techniques often, and 90% of them agree they should be using them often. So there's still, I mean, that the trajectory is is clear, right? It's going to be adopted dramatically more than it is at the moment. But I don't think it's just about using it for it's not frequency. It's going to be the style, the number of tasks that it gets adopted for, right? And I think starting with things that are basic is again not because if you aim too high,
optimizing internally first.
Yeah, if you aim too high, you're going to be creating something that might be a more frustrating project. It undermines people's confidence. So I don't have a problem with it being a stepwise development.
But then, I mean, adoption. What about the timeline? If we look ahead to Cannes in 12 months from now, what do you think the conversation is going to be? Is it you? Obviously, over the last 10 to 15 years, you would have seen how Cannes itself might have changed, and it certainly got maybe a bit more tech heavy than a lot of people, than I imagine it might have been 10 years ago. This is my first time here. But if you can predict then sort of the next 12 months or so when we're back here next year, what do you think the conversation will be around? And if it is still got Gen AI at the forefront, where would you like to see development have gone?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see campaigns that have genuinely used Gen AI to help create rich, culturally relevant, globally applicable campaign ideas, because I think it has huge potential to help in that very early ideation space. I'm sure we will see creative production processes getting more and more efficient as well, and we'll see adaptive campaigns doing all kinds of personalized. It's going to be DCO on steroids, I'm sure. So I think that the possibilities are limitless, and I'm excited. Again, coming at it from a measurement perspective, I'm excited about the fact that we will have more campaigns with measurement because of AI. Because the biggest problem with measurement, particularly with a brand focused, the brand of our brand performance angle, is there's loads and loads of ads have no measurement at all. Almost all ads have some performance measurement these days, but there are still thousands, millions that don't have any kind of brand indicator, and that's a gap that I think is very pluggable in the next year. So maybe more brands will be planning on a brand performance or brand performance, across the two axes, and that would be really good to see.
So do you think metrics for success are going to have to move pretty fluidly to sort of adopt? They've got to move as fast as the technology, I suppose, to make sure that when you are trying to measure the outcome here, you do have the right metrics established, because they might be different across different industries, verticals, use cases.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and I think the core KPIs for most brands haven't changed, right? That still ultimately people want to build their brand in the medium and long term, and drive sales in the short and long term too, right? So those are, and the indicators that help you understand that at an asset level, at a campaign level, at a placement level are improving. So on the media attention side, there's a lot more indicators now about which placements are going to be more likely to work for your brand. On the creative attention space, there's a whole load of more insight into how much attention your ads are actually getting beyond what's just how long the machine is playing the ad, how long a consumer is actually watching it, absorbing information. So I think there is the creative media intersection has always been my kind of passion point, and I think that's why I like the new data sets that are emerging around attention, because that's shining a new light on some of those challenges. Because you can't always get as granular as you want to at the very end outcome, right? You have to work back from the best mix modeling efforts you can do, the best attribution modeling you can do, the best brand lift studies you can do. Mm-hmm. And even then, if you have all of that data, you still won't be able to get all the data you need to actually optimize the campaign. I'm interested of the data proliferation that's happening. I'm really interested in the expansion of AI-driven brand insights and observed and predicted attention insights. Those are my two kind of particular hot topics.
Plenty to hear about, Duncan. I know you're a very, very busy guy, so we're not going to take up any more of your time unless you've got any final thoughts you wanted to add that you haven't had the opportunity to. Otherwise, we'll let you go, get back out there to your busy day. I'm about to dive into the press centre to sit down and finally do some work after running hither and thither up the Palais all day. I was basically mirroring the Olympic torch, which ran through the streets today. But thank you very much for joining me, Duncan.
Which I managed to get my hands on, which I was very proud of.
Did you really?
I stroked the Olympic torch, which is a childhood dream.
So. I thought you'd been far busier than that.
I managed to find 5 minutes for that. Yeah.
Oh, good on you, Duncan. Thanks very much for joining us on this special Cam Minisode of the Performance Marketing Unlocked podcast.
Thanks a lot, Jay.